Hey everyone, I'm here in Las Vegas, Nevada with Leslie Sisson. Sisson. And today we're going to be talking about insurance denials and what you can do for the appeals process. So, hey Leslie.
Hey Denise, I'm so glad that you're here.
I know, I'm super excited about this one because this is such an important topic that so many people end up needing help with. And so tell us a little bit about your company and like what you do and all that stuff.
Sure. So there's actually two companies. So you're sitting in Prosthetic Center of
Yes.
Excellence, which is our practice in Las Vegas. And my husband Ed and my son Taylor, our son Taylor, are the CPOs here, along with Alex DeHinton. But I think what you're really talking about is O&P Insight, which is our
Yes.
consulting company and billing company that we help practices all over the United States with compliance and appeals and billing and just understanding workflow. So we get to see a lot of claims all over the United States.
Yeah. So Leslie primarily works with the orthotists and prosthetists who are having difficulties and want to get those claims approved. But we're going to talk about today what you can do as your own advocate to overturn that denial with your insurance company. So, because there's lots of things that the patient can do as well, working with their prosthetists and their primary care doctors or their rehab doctors. So tell me a little bit about like what are some of the main reasons or big things that you see are getting denied, first of all, within the O&P space, within orthotics and prosthetics?
Prosthetics, there is not a reasonable useful life.
Mm-hmm.
There is a minimum useful life is what they call it. So they expect that everything that is manufactured that goes to market will last 3 years.
Okay.
Unless for some reason they have a functional change or a physiological change, something like that. But for prosthetics, there's not a reasonable useful life because you may change functional level. Your limb's going to change, so you may need a new socket. Mm-hmm. But what we see in replacement type of denials, whether it's on authorization or on claims, is that there was not enough information in the medical record from the physician who ordered it, mm-hmm. or from the prosthetist mm-hmm. who replaced it, why they were replacing either the foot or the knee, another component, or the socket. Mm-hmm. We also see a lot of denials on functional capabilities.
Okay.
So the prosthetist will, as you know, give you a functional level, or a K level is what we call it. Mm-hmm. The physician doesn't necessarily need to say what their K level is. What they need to tell in their medical record is about that patient, their functional capabilities, their potential functional capabilities, and if there's a difference, why there's a difference. Ensuring that every time you go to the physician that you're talking to them about your limb and your prosthesis and how you're doing, how mm-hmm. you know what your functional capabilities, and it's just a few sentences and making sure, hey doctor, can you please put this in? I'm having a tough time, my limb's not fitting, it's too small, it's too big, or I fluctuate, and so some days it's great and some days it's not.
Right.
Or the condition of your foot and or knee, things like that. But just having those conversations so that the medical records that we get to justify either changing or doing something brand new for you is in there.
Exactly. Yeah, no, that's really good information. Understanding your insurance can be very confusing and it can be a very big task. Are there different resources for the patient? Would you recommend them like talking to their prosthetist office that does the claims and ask them to explain what their prosthetic coverage is and all that? I think that's probably the best avenue, don't you think?
It is because they have a billing department. They have administrators that understand your policy, and that's a great point. Before you change insurance, unless it's a mandated change by your employer. Right. So, for example, going from traditional Medicare to a Medicare Advantage plan, or from one Medicare Advantage plan to another, be sure that you talk to your prosthetist and their staff first, because they may not be a provider for that insurance. Or they may recommend that you stay on traditional Medicare with a good supplement instead of going to a Medicare Advantage plan. Yeah. We have found that it's for the 6 codes that Medicare requires prior authorization on, it's a much more clear process, and we have better results in getting prior authorization from traditional Medicare than we do from Medicare Advantage plans.
Oh, that's good to know. That's really good to know.
Understanding your insurance is really important, whether you have Medicare, a Medicare Advantage plan, a commercial plan, an
Right.
employer plan. Understanding your specific plan. So say that it's a employer plan. Is it self-funded or not? So self-funding means that your employer can actually have influence on those authorizations and things
Right.
like that. If it's just up to the insurance company, understanding their policy. So if you Google XYZ insurance prosthetic policy, typically, sometimes it'll be internal prosthetics. You have to make
Yeah.
sure that you get the right one. But you can look up your plan and what they require that you have or that you meet in order to, especially for computerized componentry, microprocessors, knees and feet. There usually are very specific things, but they often mirror Medicare LCDs.
Right.
So understanding that you have to have those functional capabilities in your medical record from your physician, but also that your prosthetist needs to have that in there as well. And don't just say you're a K3, they need to explain why they have come up with after the evaluation that their assessment is that you're a K3 ambulator. And then also within that K3 category, there are still mechanical knees and there are microprocessor knees. So they need to very specifically explain why the microprocessor knee or the mechanical knee, whatever, why that is the most appropriate, less costly device for you to meet your needs.
Right.
We need to really look at the technology that's being used.
Okay.
So what we do is we work directly with the prosthetist, and sometimes we've actually gone and spoken with the patient. Tell us about your journey. How did you get here? What have you used before? Things like that. So I helped a prosthetist and actually interviewed the patient and said, tell me about your day in the life. Tell me what you do.
Yeah.
Because it's not about the technology.
Right.
It's about the patient. It's about the amputee and their experience and what they need to live the fullest life that they can. So we went through the day in the life, because if you don't know what they do for work or what they're doing after hours or how they serve the community. We oftentimes in documentation we see that patients want to garden, play with their grandchildren, and go fishing.
Yeah.
Well, that looks very different depending where you are in the country. Are you a primary caregiver of your grandkids? Do you often see them and take them on hikes and take them to the pool or walk them to school? That's very different than I see them twice a year and we play Yahtzee at Thanksgiving.
Right.
So really
Or,
those,
do you have a driveway that is very steep
absolutely.
incline or decline, and you need to have that stability? You need to have the specific device to be able to walk to your mailbox or walk out of your house and just be able to get out of your house even. So,
Or if you're in Manhattan and you have to go get your mail, me getting my mail, you getting your mail, and somebody that's in a 3-story building with no elevator going to get their mail is very different. So, so talking about the specifics and can you do that currently? If you can, what can make that better for you?
Right.
Or if you can't, then is there a device that can help you with that? Yep.
It's not about the technology. It's about your lifestyle and what it is that you do. Work, home, hobbies, caring for children, grandchildren, whatever it is. I think that, the more you can explain about your lifestyle and the things that you do and why certain devices will help you succeed in doing those things is the better. The more information you can give them, the better. And I know sometimes we've even done videos and had video documentation of maybe on a device that was hindering them in some way, and then maybe if you're able to trial the device that you're trying to get and how much better, maybe it makes your back pain better. Maybe it makes your sound leg, the hip, less strenuous, or your knee less strenuous. And so it could even be like physical things that you notice a difference with utilizing a different device.
Correct.
And that's really good things to document right there, because they're going to want to know if you have a device that's potentially causing other issues down the road, so that they'll want you to have the device that keeps you the healthiest that you can be as well. And even energy expenditure, right? Like if you have a device that is takes a lot of energy to use and you're not able to get out and go walking or exercise or do that stuff and have more of a sedentary lifestyle, explain that in there, that with this new device that you've tried or upgrade in devices, that you're able to do more and not have as much of a sedentary lifestyle, which can lead into other issues, health issues down the road.
Right.
I think that's an important thing to mention as well in your history. And I know for me personally, with my insurance denials that I went through, we appealed multiple times, and we were not getting it covered, despite sending videos, despite describing a good story. So I actually ended up asking my prosthetist for my caseworker's phone number that they had been dealing with. And I called my caseworker personally and explained to her, hey, I'm a mom, I have young children. Right now, I need a leg that is, because my leg, the current prosthesis that I had at that time was done, and it was giving out on me. And I had small children that I had to carry, and I'm a nurse. And so I explained to her, I'm like, I need a leg to walk on. I need something that's stable, that I can carry my baby, that I can carry my kids, that I can work as a nurse safely and not be a fall risk. And it was, the next day it was approved.
Right.
Honestly. So sometimes it's a matter of, trying to find out who that person is that they're working with through their insurance company, and you telling them your story. And sometimes the person on the other line that's doing these claims don't really know about prosthetics, do they?
They don't.
Yeah, they don't understand what they are, what they do, and the difference between them. And so sometimes it takes us explaining to them exactly, this is what it is, and this is what it does, and this is what it does for this particular patient, and this is why we're asking for it. So.
And that's a great point about case managers. You may not even know that there's been a case manager assigned to you because of your diagnosis.
Yeah.
So my oldest son has a chronic health condition, and when he was first diagnosed, and even now, there's a case manager that's behind the scenes that is reviewing his medications and things like that. So if you don't have one, you can always request one, so that any of your treatment that you need and your prosthetic treatment, that you get to know that person, and that they can keep a file on you, and you have that open communication. Not all the companies have that, but they often do have regional case managers that will help follow that.
If you've gone through all of these steps and you've exhausted all things and you cannot get it approved, and the Amputee Coalition does have some resources as well to help you with that. So again, don't reach out to them right away, but if you've exhausted all of these other resources and you've appealed and you're still not getting assistance with it, then always reach out to them, because they have staff on people on staff that can help you with that as well. So
yes, they do, and I had just learned about that myself.
Did you?
They did.
Yeah.
So, and what I would recommend is if you've gone through 1 or 2 stages of appeal, don't wait until after you go to the 3rd stage, because then sometimes it's too late.
Okay.
So
Is there time limits on the appeals process? Okay.
Yep, so there are. So you have to start say that you get a denial. It's typically 30 to 90 days, depending on the insurance company. Some of them, like with Medicare, if it's denied, you just start all over again. You don't appeal it.
Okay.
For prior authorization. For a claims appeal, that's different.
Okay.
There is a specific claim process.
Okay.
But typically your provider, your prosthetist and their staff will be doing that, but they might need your assistance.
If your prosthetist that you see is, maybe small company and doesn't have very many staff and doesn't have a lot of resources for this, they can always call you, right?
Yes.
With O&P Insights.
info@onpinsight.com.
Okay.
Or you can to me directly, and then I will get whatever staff member we need. Yeah. We do have a CPO on staff, so Kurt Bertram is my partner, and he's a certified prosthetist, orthotist, and he has many years of experience in appeals and policy and things like that, so he often helps us. We also have somebody on staff that used to work at one of the Medicare DME Max, which is the private company that adjudicates the claims, that pays the claims. Right, so she understands that appeal process. So we have a lot of experience in either prior authorization denials And they might want to reach out to us prior to ever submitting it so that we can review the
And make
documentation.
sure everything looks good before submitting it. Yeah.
Correct.
So here's an option for you if you want to give that to your prosthetist if they don't have in-house support for insurance processing, then you guys can let them know about O&P Insights.
Yeah.
Oh, so I was also going to tell you that I do have some things on my website for you, and they're trifolds that I had created that explain some of these steps that you can use for that insurance appeal. So if you just want to go to my website, I'll put a link on there where you can find these, and they're just helpful tools about some of the stuff that we talked about, and it's always nice to have it written and handy for you. But I guess that's about it today. So thank you, Leslie. It was
Thank
so
you very
great. So that's it for this issue, and we'll see you next time on the next episode of The Dish with Denise.